Well, oh, shilly shally, gosh dang, we got a really big non-tournament related update. You see that our boy in blue, Rotterdam, just won Go for StarCraft today, the Points Cup.
Our boy in blue?
Well, he's wearing blue in the picture. But
okay. I saw that. Yeah.
That's pretty rad. Hell yeah, go Rotterdam. I know he's streaming right now still too, so if you guys want to go say congrats, be sure to do so. But we are getting into a brand new best of 5, ladies and gentlemen, spawning here on the right upper side of the map. I say that in honor of Roddy. We've got the blue Protoss Hellraiser.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Reynor.
Reynor, currently king of the hill, just having recently knocked out Euthermal off of his 3-win streak. So Euthermal will walk away today with $100. Oh, boo-hoo, poor him. Reynor with 100 so far, looking to get possibly another 200. We have this best of 5 and another best of 5 after it before the day is completely said and done.
I have a feeling, no matter who the last player is, though, that Reynor will be king of the hill.
Yeah, he's a pretty scary guy to play against, but if the guy I have in my back pocket shows up, he does play the game in a very unique way. It might be enough to throw Reynor for a loop.
I don't know. Well, Hellraiser has quite the job to do here to even get one game, and it's not a dig at Hellraiser, it's a compliment to Reynor. Reynor is demolishing all of the top pros left and right.
Yeah, oh bugger, by the way, guys, it turns out the guy I had in my back pocket finally responded to me. I was a little worried because he wasn't here. His flight was delayed, so he's not even going to be close to being home, I think. Which means we may need to go wrestle and wrangle up a brand new last contender here for Reynor.
I got your back, Rifkin. If you need me, just call.
Call who?
Kim Possible.
Now I'm gonna. I'm just gonna start singing that song, right? Like you can't just say like, "Call me, beat me, if you wanna reach me. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when." Look, I grew up with the biggest crush on Kim Possible until, and this was ruined for me, right? And if you guys go Google a picture of Kim Possible, you'll not be able to unsee this. So I warned you in advance. The way they do her upper lip actually looks like a mustache with a really small mouth under it. And after I saw this, I couldn't unsee it, and it bothered the fuck out of me. I couldn't watch it anymore.
Oh my god. Oh, actually, this reminds me of an Overwatch thing. As just normal openers here, start getting on the way. So you know how Disney Channel, Disney XD, I think, is gonna broadcast the Overwatch playoffs?
Yeah.
Championship, whatever. So they actually got one of the Overwatch players to do that very, like, at this point it's been around for, like,
the cheesy Disney thing, yeah?
Yeah, the cheesy Disney thing. It was so bad. They did like one take with the guy, and it looks really bad. And I remember when like Lizzie McGuire would do it, or Christy Romano, I think was her name.
Christy Carlson Romano, thank you.
I'm sorry, I forgot her middle name. I mean, Jesus. But yeah, and they like did it okay. So on the Reddit thread where like they were discussing how bad the Overwatch players thing is, people brought up how like horrible Disney was to those people. They made them take over 100 takes to get. Yeah,
I remember seeing that in an interview. I think it was with Lizzie McGuire maybe, or maybe it was Amanda Bynes, one of the two, where they were talking about how exhausting it was for them.
You know, I know you know, but I want to make sure that her name's not actually Lizzie McGuire.
Yes, sorry, Hillary Duff, excuse me.
Yeah, okay. I knew you knew, but there's a little part of me. Anyways.
Wait, yeah. They're not the whoa.
I think some of the other people would like break down in tears, like, oh my god.
You know what breaks my heart? Like all the Disney people basically went crazy at some point, right? And like, I'm so sad because I thought like Amanda Bynes was like the most normal. She had like a decent movie career and she was like super cute. And then like turns out she went crazy too. Like something about Disney makes people go nuts, dude.
If I had to guess, if like there was only one Disney person who went crazy, I would have guessed Amanda Bynes though. Like real, right?
Yeah.
Like she was always a little bit weird.
Dude, she's the man.
Well, that was an amazing movie. All right, we need to actually like induct that into the Hall of Fame because not only was it an amazing movie in and of itself, it started the career of what's his face, Channing Tatum.
Wait, really? Is that the first thing? I didn't even remember him being. Oh my god, I'd have to go back. I haven't seen that movie forever, obviously.
Terrible. that bad. He was really bad in that movie, but bad in a great way. And then I think he did another 2 or 3 movies probably. But then he did 21 Jump Street, and that's actually when he started to get kind of good.
Yo, that movie was so good for real. And 22 Jump Street. I watched both of them with glee, but I guess we didn't really talk about this, right? Hellraiser, because we jumped right into memes. Hellraiser's another really good protest player, and one of the reasons we invited him because he qualified for BTSL Season 2. So he's already someone on our recent radar from playing well enough to qualify into our groups for our bigger tournament. So as we can see here with this opening, he's already looking pretty decent against Reynor. It's hard to say like, oh my god, he's winning versus losing based off of these couple of trades, but it's something where I'm glad to see he's not floundering like Euthermal was. And that's not shots fired at Euthermal, but that was a really difficult series to watch.
I do wonder why that is the case though, because I feel like Reynor could do something earlier on to mix things up. But it honestly might be that there's not so much opener in this matchup that's kind of like, I don't know how to say, like it's not cheesy, but it's a little aggressive. I feel like we don't see the same pool openers versus Protoss. Either it's a pool opener that's really fast and you're like literally 12 pulling, or just later on 3 hatch, right? Because no one does really like Ling floods anymore. Bailing buffs still happen, I guess, but that's really all in. It's not really a test. So where he was constantly testing Euthermal from like the minute 4 and just getting little victories here and there, I guess ZvP doesn't really have that as much. So, you know, we're going to see Hellraiser tested when it's 4 bases to 3 and he's being driven crazy by Hydra and Ling run bias.
Yeah. The alerts are still kind of borked, but the sounds are still playing. So thank you. My name is Penguin95 for the Twitch Prime sub. I know your name is now Penguin95. Also, a quick update on the Twitter followers we're working at, guys. 115 out of 150. I'm a little sad to say at the rate this is going, we might not hit 200 before the end of the day, as our goal was. But I'd love to hit at least that 150 mark to get another giveaway before the stream's done. So we still have one more best of 5 coming up. And hopefully you guys will consider checking out Match Arena and clicking that link in the meanwhile. Oh, the attack at the top side gets caught. This is really unfortunate for Hellraiser. This secondary attack was going to be so powerful paired up with this main avenue. But as the main attack hits, let's not forget, there's still Oracles and Archons on that front line. The Zealots are a little lagged behind. And that might work out well for him here because the Baileys go off on the Archons, not on the Zealots. So if those Zealots get involved with the fight, those Hydras are dead.
Some of the Zealots ran into their deaths because Zealots are dumb, but it works out ultimately much better for Hellraiser. This is not a bad attack whatsoever. Reynor's simply a little bit surprised, a little bit underprepared, is going to lose his 4th base, but he's already on his way to a 5th.
I'll say Reynor's like actually doing so, he's kind of ahead in this regard, so while the damage here is objectively good, it's not actually taking him down a peg like it would in a normal game against a player who didn't have 5 bases. And with the time made there to make more Bailings, now the Zealots do have to be careful. They're on the front line once again. He pulls them back. Nice moves out of Hellraiser again. But there's so much Zerg here, I don't think he can contest this.
Nah. I guess hacking it up and backing away, combine both of those, might have been the better move. He really was probably hoping this Warp Prism would have made the attack even stronger, but unfortunately the timing wasn't quite there, so it's just going to get cleaned up, it looks like. Yeah,
loses the Warp Prism too. He's running from the Bailings, but charges back into them!
He found that opening that he was probably looking for. He's going to get the other base. Reynor does not come out of this ahead, you know? He might have cleaned everything up, and I still think that he's a good game.
He recalled with 2 health on that! No, this is a huge mistake. Oracles have got to go finish that. No way.
Well, never mind. So, okay, the things I was gonna say is that Hellraiser is not super far behind in this game despite losing a lot of his army. But I look at the macro, and he definitely stopped macroing at one point. He doesn't have Storm on the way either, which probably should have been started as soon as he realized this wasn't gonna like do more damage.
You ever sneeze at a building and watch it fall over?
Yeah, no, I haven't. So that's where I think Reynor does come out ultimately ahead, actually. It's just a little bit of mechanics going on here.
Well, there's no Bailings on this side, so it gets to cancel the base. I don't think he can actually pursue this fight. I mean, Hellraiser has made a couple of small things that made us go, what the fuck? But ultimately, like, he has been pulling his Zealots back. He's been letting the Archons eat. Oh, too much damage right there. But the bulk of the damage, unfortunately, though, all these cool moves are starting to unwind now. And whether it's an Archon dying there or the Oracles dying in duos, Zealots stopping their charge. Immortal, why possibly rallied on this side? I mean, mistakes are really starting to catch up with Hellraiser now.
They absolutely are. His armor supply is really at a very good position for this matchup, and yet he just, oh my god, the Banelings get some good connections there. They also got good connections over to the third base, I believe. That's why 20 probes went down. I don't know where, how, what killed 20 probes? I think the third base was literally that oversaturated.
Yeah, it must have been. I mean, that's a really good move. We didn't see it. Hellraiser certainly didn't. That's going to suck. Banelings surround. They splash on everything here. The Chargelot's trying to get into the fight, but a little too late. The Archon's already popped off, and I mean, this has been a hell of a back and forth, but Hellraiser's kind of losing ground every time these guys seem to meet.
I am respecting the fact that he's still almost always on like this even ground, because again, the army supply was even. That's usually very good for Protoss. Down 20, it's only actually down 5 right now. That's usually also perfectly good for Protoss. He's just, it's just lacking a little bit on the actual micro. And again, if he had that fourth base already down, he could have had shield batteries, he could have had so many more Archons, and Storm still hasn't been researched.
He just had to kill a Cybercore, by the way, so that means that there won't be shield batteries anytime soon.
And no sentries either.
Yo, sentries would have been so good, actually, just all things considered. Like, maybe 3 less Archons and a lot more sentries.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised that Reynor... I wonder what effect is happening here. Reynor must keep thinking, like, well, I'm going to kill him now, right? I'm going to kill him now, right? And he's like, he never quite kills with Hellraiser, and he's actually doing something very dangerous, because if there was Storm on the way, and you continue doing this, you're going to have really bad trades if they get a couple of Storms in. But we know there's not.
Yeah, this actually reminds me of every time, like, a player, if they would just pull back and regroup rather than funnel in and bleed units out 1 or 2 at a time. Because, I mean, Protoss exceed in those sort of low supply situations. Their units are just objectively stronger. It's how they're built. But as Reynor starts massing up and perhaps starts getting that overwhelming supply lead, we might just see him finally be able to suffocate out Hellraiser. But, I mean, Hellraiser, for all things considered that he's late, Storms, non-existent, Sentry's not here, he's still on 4 base economy. Like, he's got the money to keep competing with this. It's just I don't know if he'll have the army to keep competing with this. So many Banelings roll in here.
Oh, those Chargelots. They just rolled in a bunch more, and he's going to keep his Immortals alive for now.
It's amazing how good Zealots are against Hydras. You have this army that just gets annihilated by Banelings, but then those Banelings are gone, they charge forward, and the Hydra line just disappears as if it didn't exist in the first place.
Funnily enough, and this does happen, so it's not like it's a super rare occurrence, but I think Reynor's problem in this game has been a lack of Banelings. He's used the Banelings effectively, but then he never has more for the next wave of Chargelots, which I think is the reason he keeps getting pushed back. But also, whatever kudos you want to give to Hellraiser too, I guess, just like Iron Will. And it's so funny about losing 20 probes back earlier on. It put him at still a decent probe count. He was so oversaturated to begin with, so his economy has really been fine.
Actually, we haven't taken a look at the income graph for a while, but I mean, Reynor, not so surprised, and he's killing it with a bigger drone count. But I guess the cause and effect here is, well, neither player has been maxed out. It does mean Reynor spent more money on economy, so he's got less army supply. And as they continue to trade in uneven fashions, I mean, look at the resources lost here for Reynor, right? This has not been a cheap game for him by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that, I don't know, he needs to breathe is what he needs to do. As the Spire comes up, and as he defends and deflects these attacks, like, just group up. Constantly losing little bits like this normally doesn't affect a Zerg player, but in this lower army supply situation, these little Baneling losses are building up and frankly huge.
That was going to be a really nice backstab, but showed it accidentally. The run-bys work out well for both players. Maybe the Zealots were a little bit more expensive.
Oh. Or should I say oofant. Either way, that didn't go well for Reynor, or for Hellraiser. He does still have some Zealots up here at the top side, but with no immediate Warpins on the front line, this is still a very dangerous fight to take. The Warpism is all the way back here.
I feel like Hellraiser's gonna win with this. Like, I can almost feel Hellraiser's apprehension, like, wait a second, is that really all of his army? Did he really just use all of his Banelings?
I mean, every time we call a fight like this, it always ends up going the other way, so I'm really hesitant to say that, but the momentum does continue to swing in Hellraiser's favor. The resources lost continue to grow. Good boy, Sentry. Good boy.
Yeah, right.
You fetch those creep tumors.
You're right about all those points. This discrepancy in the resources lost is just getting better. But Hellraiser is on his way to a 5th base. Every time he loses probes, he already has enough anyways. I love that he got shields. It's looking good. I'm
just so infuriated, but also impressed at the same time that Hellraiser's done all of this without Storm.
I'm kind of infuriated. I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but like, I thought Euthermal was going to be against like the TV Zero Life, because he was like dominating this TVT so hard. And it's actually Hellraiser, a guy I just didn't expect.
Yeah, I mean, he just took a lot of worker losses, so that's gonna really kick him in the nuts here. But you're right, like this has been an amazing best of well, game 1 in a best of 5. But Broodlords are coming out, and this might be where Reynor starts taking some of that power shift back, right? We talked about this a long time coming. There's no Stalkers, there's no Phoenix, there's no Void Race, it's just Archons that can easily get clogged up with Broodlings.
That is very true, but you need a certain amount of Broodlords before you can really hope for that to be a guarantee anyways. It might happen, especially if you focus fire, but this could have been a very dangerous point. Again, I would say if there's storms, because the Hydras get weak and then the Archons push through everything and they still underneath the Broodlords. We've been seeing that what seems to be more and more often in the last like 4 months.
By the way, almost no Overlords have really died in the context of this game, but he's still supply blocked there from the hatcheries going down, which isn't something that happens hardly ever. Also, yeah. I love that in response to saying, don't mean to be disrespectful, Sinister Waffle says, be disrespectful, I mean it. So, okay, dude, you've got a tiny dick. Well,
I mean, he's sinister, so we probably shouldn't trust him.
I love the idea that, like, I want to be disrespectful sometimes, but you just can't be. Even if you want to be, you just can't be. You shouldn't be, and you won't be. That's how you end up like certain people who are banned on Twitch. I'm just saying. Don't speak ill of the dead.
A lot of people. So, Reynor is still in a bit of a tough spot. I mean, the Broodlords probably saved... I don't know if they saved the game here. The Hydras are still going to be in a concave and all that, but they definitely helped if Hellraiser were to push through. But he's lost 2 bases after losing 2 bases in the early game. He's struggling to get another mining base as his natural and third get mined out, and his run-bys, while impressive for the amount he's putting into them, 3 Banelings for 10, 19, well, 5 actually in the third base, but 19 probes, that actually sounds amazing.
It's 85 dead in total, by the way.
Yet Hellraiser has always pushed through that.
Yeah, and I guess that's the problem. Like, you're using Banelings for these worker harasses when you could use them on the front lines. I mean, the Archons are dying now. The Archons are killing Broodlords. They shouldn't be able to do this with this many Lings and Hydras and everything below them, but they still just stutter step through almost everything here. Now, a lot of the Zealots die, but they're expendable. Those are the mineral losses. That's part of why these trades are going so well for Hellraiser, right? Every time he bleeds out these trades to the Banelings, he's losing mineral-based units to gas-based units. So, like, they were almost like 2,000 minerals separate. Now it's almost 10,000. This is actually getting so ridiculous.
Someone's starting to say, is a 3-0 curse broken? What if Hellraiser just 3-0s Reynor?
Shut your face.
What do we even do with that?
I pack it up and we go home is what we do with that. All right, he's still continuing to get these. I gotta give credit to Reynor where it's due, though, right? Like, these Baneling run-bys, the +2 makes it so they one-shot those probes, no problem, and this has just been a nightmare as he continues to bleed out workers. But Reynor also losing a lot through these hatcheries. Oh my god, look at the resource. Look at the workers lost this game. We're almost at a 200 combined total for both players.
Oh, man.
I haven't seen this game of StarCraft like this in God knows how long.
It's pretty scrappy, but the mass Archon is really working out. I'm really happy that Hellraiser is the type of Protoss to go for the shield upgrades. You have Protosses who don't go for any more upgrades at the +3, and you have Protosses who go for armor because it's, I guess, like a habit. But the shields are really working out here. I still would love to see Storm, a few, but we're working out.
You know when Bart is getting strangled by Homer in The Simpsons?
Okay, sure.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm doing that, but to Hellraiser because he's not going for storms. God damn, like 1 or 2 storms.
This is not something we have. This is not the first time we've gotten mad at someone for not going for storms, though.
Or even if it's also Colossus, Disruptor, just some sort of area of effect damage, because they feel like he's doing so good with what he has, and it could just be even better.
I remember I finally asked Hearthstone in that People Images tournament, like, hey, sometimes this happens, like, what is it? And that game, it was very obvious the Protoss had forgotten, and I was like, oh, well, shit, never mind then. But I swear to you, I feel like there are some Protosses who actually make the decision and say, I don't really need Storm. And that just boggles my mind, someone who thinks Storm is really good.
People are contesting that Archons do area of effect damage, and you're not wrong with it, but what I'm saying is in addition to the Archons, it's not like, oh, one or the other, like, add to it, especially when you've got freedom like this. But my fear is for Reynor, like, as much as we're talking about storms, he still might die to what's on the field. Even with Infestors coming out, and those fungal growths are going to be awesome. it still might just be a little bit much, because Hellraiser's getting to the point where his army supply, not only is it really well upgraded, it's in A-move territory. And he's not just A-moving in terms of like one club, he's actually splitting his forces still. So Reynor, with his smaller supply and frankly weaker supply, is gonna have to defend against 2 locations. There's no way these Hydras stop the Zealots here. There's too many of them.
Well, this is the best composition that Reynor could go for in this situation. But he'll have to chain a lot of bungles, and I think he still needs some Brood Lords.
He tried to hide the Hydras between the Spore Crawlers to create some Sim City, which is a brilliant move, mind you, but still the Zealots still just brute forced their way through that.
Yeah, they did not care.
It really makes you wonder, how did Phoenix die to a Hydralisk, honestly? Was he just the worst Templar in all of history?
Phoenix is pretty stupid, let's be real here. He's not a smart cookie. There's a reason he was a Zealot for so long.
Because he wasn't killed off to become a Dragoon.
Well,
I'm a Dragoon.
Yeah. I'm a Dragoon. As I was saying, Reynor is doing the best composition possible for this. Broodlord, Infestor, Lurker, siege units that is always going to be scary to move into. But Hellraiser is like, okay, I'm not going to throw this game. I'm not going to be stupid about this. Let's go to Tempest. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Carriers, whatever.
So there's some debatable upgrades in chat that we want to address, and because so much of this game has been like emphasis on the Archons above everything else, more than the Zealots even, the Plasma Shield upgrades make so much more sense because they will just generally benefit all Protoss units, but of course Archons have no benefit from armor really whatsoever. So to go for the Plasma Shields instead, brilliant choice, and it's worked out so well for this game. And following up on the topic of like storms, and people were saying like if he didn't have storms, like, or if he had storms he'd lose his momentum and this, that, and the other, I would agree with you if it was like 10 minutes ago. But when we got to this point where Reynor was beaten back down to 3 bases finally, like there's a real just execution move you go because you've got that much of a lead in the game. And that's what I'm really trying to address here, because it's like, Hellraiser's not done anything wrong because he's winning the game, but it's just like addressing how he's winning the game.
Yeah, agreed. It's certainly like 5 minutes ago, I would say that he was just like, you know what, I don't even need it. But at this point, he obviously doesn't need it. It's no longer about the ground, but... That's on to Tempests, and while I would say you do need Storm late game PvZ, this is not the PvZ that you care about it. You're up 50 army supply, even with Reynor at 19 drones, so he's just been missing a big chunk of supply.
Ooh, speaking of chunks.
Chunk.
I kind of almost wish Reynor would have had hold fire on those. If he had just, well, I guess there's an observer, but if he had been able to catch those stalkers, that would have been so sick.
Right? Gotta be very careful. Starting to get spread out, just needing more bases, and his Broodlords are not covered.
And he's got that focus fire. The single target's worth it if he gets them all, but while this goes on, let's not forget, there's still the Archons to the top side. This has just been him focusing with the Stalkers. He continues to advance forward. Mothership comes out next. I mean, the game still is... For me, I'm just astonished Reynor is in this position in the first place. He's so good at this matchup. I've seen him play against Koreans, obviously, against some of the best Europe has to offer. Hellraiser, well, again, I respect him as a good player. It's why we invited him to play today. Never in my dreams did I think, like, oh, he's going to start 1-0 versus Reynor.
No, I didn't expect it either. And perhaps Reynor didn't expect it. This could have been, you know, a nice life lesson for a young player. Never underestimate your opponents. Or it could have just been that he just, you know, it actually was good play from Hellraiser, and Reynor was, would lose the same way to the other Protoss players. I don't know.
I just want to point out too, like how difficult it has been to kill Reynor in this position. Reynor, who's on basically no economy, he's got very limited army supply, is still almost impossible to take him out. But he's holding on as long as he can. But this isn't a tower defense. This is a 1v1 StarCraft 2 match.
Yeah. Reynor, I feel like now it is a bit of a little bit of disbelief because, you know, there's that very clutch game versus Classic where Broodlords really helped him out. That was a game where he knew bases were torn down.
GG.
And I love how there are so many probes killed in this game, but it actually didn't even feel like it mattered. He'd always recover his economy. So you look at that mini-map, you see 6 bases, and you're like, was the Protoss even touched in this game? And you're like, look at the workers killed. But no, apparently not. Not in any effective way.
Well, that might be the most surprising result out of all the 3-0s and everything that's happened today. That's probably our most shocking result, to have the 1-0 for Hellraiser, but I'm not at all upset about this. It makes for a much more exciting series, because if Reynor is going to still win, it means we get game 4 for the first time today. But a quick look at the brackets for those who have been missing out on what's going on. Here's a peek at how today has gone so far. If you are a subscriber, by the way, you can look forward to any of these replays on our Discord server later tonight. Those will be uploaded as soon as we're off the cast today. But it's my last show for a while. It's the last cast I get to do, and I got one more best of 5 after this one. So I hope you guys are enjoying it with me, because even with the 3-0s, I'm still having a pretty good time. I just wish I had some Bubba burgers. For real. Because my roommate Reynor is making something in the oven and it smells good. I think it's like, what, you making ramen? She says, yeah. Ooh, it smells good. Anyways, we're gonna go not to commercial break, but to game 2 here pretty swiftly. In lieu of a commercial break, though, I do want to bring up the match arena one more time. I know so many of you are sick of hearing me say this and bring it up and talk about it, and in that small regard, I apologize, but it's for the sponsors. We've got a goal we're trying to meet. We're nowhere close to hitting the goal, which is a bummer, but at the same time, it's kind of understandable because it's Twitter, and Twitter is a very different space than Twitch. So if you guys could, I'm typing Match Arena in chat. We're going to bring up this link. It'll take you a couple of seconds of your time here, but if you got Twitter, consider following the sponsors. It's all they want. They're not trying to push products on you today. They just want to get their social media rocking and rolling. So if you're signed into Match Arena, you sign in here in the top right. You scroll down, there's a sponsors button, you click it, it adds 20 cents to the prize pool, but it also bundles you towards the $50 that we can keep increasing and growing this with, give you more players, more money, and of course, we got these extra show matches coming, cause and effect. Thank you. And now Eric Arcana also threw $5 in there. Hey, that's all. Thank you, Eric Arcana. But we hop into game 2 on Catalyst whenever the players are ready. Oh shit, Diesel just tipped us 10 bucks, by the way. Thank you, Diesel. My lady. You guys are cute. I'm so mad and upset right now. I just got the sickest invite from my friend, really, to do this PUBG thing, but it's the day after my wisdom tooth surgery.
Oh, so accept that.
So yeah, so there's 0% chance I'll be able to participate, much less communicate.
I'd love to see you try.
I never get to do stuff like that, but I love, that's all I do in my off time is play like Fortnite or PUBG or stuff like that. I'm so bummed right now. But let's see if we can recover. Rally for this guy in the top left. He's down a game at the moment. Who'd have thunk it? It's the blue Zerg, Reynor.
Thank you, Laser Chicken Live. What an awesome name. For the Twitch Prime sub in the bottom right, as the red Protoss, he is Hellraiser.
An awesome name with an awesome Splice logo attached to it. The handsome man in the chat. Thank you very much for the Prime. Actually, on that note, for just anybody watching today, Prime sub, non-Prime sub, doesn't really matter. Just thank you guys for enjoying the show. If you're not already, though, I hope you consider hitting the follow button. That way you don't miss out when Zombie Grab and Wardy go live this week. Because again, they gotta carry my butt while I'm recovering and sleepy and probably moaning in pain and crying about not having enough drugs. But I will not be here for the next 2 weeks. And we've got some really sick group action coming up. But Lazy Chicken, Mr. Sir, thank you, because I just want to point out, you actually are really supportive on Twitter from time to time. I love seeing that stuff. It makes me feel real good. Because nobody else is. But, yeah, well, this might be the second to last series of the day. We still actually have to find our last player. So, the awkward thing is, we had Bly slated to be the last player in the King of the Hill. And I thought this would be great, because if Reynor wins, or hell, in this case, if Hellraiser wins, either way, Bly's a very funky player who can shake things up, and that's why I was excited to put him at the last slot. But right now, he's on his way home. Basically, if Reynor and Hellraiser go long enough, we get Bly in here. If it doesn't go long enough, I have to find somebody else, and I don't have somebody else readily available.
Even if it was like a 30-minute plane flight, how is he actually going to make it?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. He's probably not going to make it home in time. Regardless, though, we have, thanks to your guys' support, one more best of 5, one more bonus burger match coming up after this one is done. It's just we don't know who it is at the moment. Let's just pick one of the 30 Twitch chat GMs. Yo, we could have 30 Twitch chat GMs Archon mode together against one player. There you go. Easy.
I think he's undershooting right there. I feel like everyone in chat is actually GM.
By the way, thank you, Mortican, for that Prime sub as well. And you'd think they would be with how knowledgeable they appear to be.
I feel like I'm not wrong.
Although, you know, in fairness, we seem to have less Twitch chat GMs in our chat than GSL. GSL chat is so painful to read sometimes. They don't even moderate it some days, I swear.
I mean, we got, over the years, right, we've gotten rid of a lot of people, not because they've done one thing wrong, like they were obviously sexist 3 times and they were banned. I know between even like me back when I was modding a lot, or you, we never really banned a lot of people, but we would ban the annoying people, wouldn't we? Like the people that you would notice always made that really stupid comment about 15, 20, 30, 45, 50 times. You just went, you know what? Fuck it. You're just not a good chatter, are you? You ban them. And that's what GSL needs. If they do anything necessarily super wrong, usually not. But they are really annoying and dumb.
Tell us how you really feel, Zombie Grub.
Wow. No one, I mean, hey, I'm just talking about people that aren't even in your chat right now, so I'm just complimenting everyone in chat.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, the Oracle dips in and gets about 3 workers. Honestly, nothing too impressive. I was more concerned with the scouting that Reynor got. As the Overlord got into the main, it did get a good vision of what's up. I mean, you know it's a Stargate because you've seen the Oracle and the Phoenix, but it's about confirming whether there's a second Stargate. And in this regard, Reynor did not see that. That's going to suck a little bit because this double Stargate build has been fairly popular. So on one hand, Reynor might just blindly guess that this is the case because it's the back end of a Stargate. Like, oh, how cliche. As Protoss player went double Stargate.
I really like this mix-up, but Reynor has a very strong style that he would naturally go into that can help against a build like this. So where I feel like some other people, they go for roaches and they kind of awkwardly shuffle around the map and like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. Do I use the roaches? Do I send them back home? Reynor is usually pretty decisive, and slaying Hydra, especially this early of Hydras, can help mitigate that damage from the surprise factor. But boy, it will be a surprise.
Nice build there. Nice. Very clutch out of Hellraiser. Keeps the Lynx from getting in there and being more chaotic.
This is Mass Oracle.
Oh, this is like... he's a goblin. I know it didn't work earlier. Let me show you how it's done.
I really appreciate this would work again, because I think surprise factor with Phoenix can be very, very good. We've seen surprise Phoenix kill Zerg straight up. Surprise with Oracle is just old school, but it can also work really well. I just think that if it doesn't work, it has less life than the surprise Phoenix do.
You know, it has worked in the past.
Did Houston actually win any games going Mass Oracle?
Maybe nothing too crazy notable, but I've seen him play. Like, I remember watching Snoot and him play live because it wasn't streamed anywhere. Was it Montreal or something last year? And it was like the most intense match I've ever seen.
I don't mean in his life. I meant, I guess, specifically at Valencia, because everyone was hyped up about.
Oh, okay, that's fair, yeah. Okay, well, the Oracles do get in here, and while this Hydra's out, this Hydra's got to turn tail and run. They stand their ground to fight. They'll take out like 1, maybe 2 of these Oracles. A third one almost goes down, but nice micro out of Hellraiser to hide that away. Queens get lifted up once again, and while there's a Spore Crawler here, he's actually going to just focus it down, because why not? Your Oracles. Oh, he loses one for this, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the last shot on the Spore or was the Hydras, but even
then, if every Oracle dies, look at the resources lost. Like, this was still a value attack. He shredded the Hydra count at just the right time. Because if there had been like even 5 more Hydras with that clump, I think Hellraiser actually loses that fight. Like, he got in there just when he needed to.
Yeah. Pretty perfect timing, and I really think that going right into that charge on +1 like he's doing is the right move. Some people will stick a little too long and maybe even go all in on the Stargates. Not too many people, but some people. But he's already on his way to charge on +1, which is going to do much better.
The way you said that was so like accusatory, like, I'm not saying anyone, but some people. Like,
I mean, I want to cover all the, like, the, you know, gold players and Masters 1 players. I think they're cool.
Yeah, isn't that what GM stands for? Gold Masters? Gold to Masters?
Someone said greatly modded or something like that. Like, greatly mediocre.
Hey, then I'm GM, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Reynor, so even if this was resources trading evenly, which it's not, Hellraiser's still getting the better end of this. There's still like the problem of, yeah, right, Reynor can't get these better units across the map. He is relying purely on the Ling to try and do something counter-wise.
I hope that's not one of the players saw a little bit of lag spikes there. That could really hurt whoever's gonna feel that for the engagement.
I didn't feel anything, so.
Oh, maybe I'm just getting Europed on them.
Is it lagging yet?
No, it's fine now. It was like just for that run by.
No, I was.
Oh, I see. Now I get it. That took a moment. This is really important. He tags these and runs away. Now, he could take the engagement with the Zealots. We saw last game an example of just how good Zealots are with charge against Hydralisks specifically, and this time there's no Banelings to help wash them off. So, with that combined with the Oracles, this might be really bad for Reynor. He's caught off of creep too, so that's going to be 2 or 3 dead Hydras as he pulls back. Ooh.
You know what's... I'm thinking more about this. We're so focused on what Hellraiser is doing. I think Reynor might have meant to do an all-in. He has no upgrades, no evolution chambers. He was pure Ling Hydra. I guess you don't add the Baneling Nest anyways, but I feel like the lack of upgrades is what I'm really trying to pinpoint is I think Reynor's plan in this game was just entirely foiled, and that's contributing to Hellraiser's victory. Now, the Spire could still really mess things up, but is it going to come out in time? Doesn't look like it.
I'm just in a world of awe right now, by the way. The Hellraiser's in such a good position, and not just 1 but 2 games against Reynor, the legend of all people. But this attack is going to be so awkward without Banelings. Nothing to pop this off. The Zealots are doing so well against the Hydras. Now, as charge gets on cooldown, it's a little easier to kite them back. So Reynor takes a good engagement here, but still, bleeding out these Hydras is so expensive. Remember, Hellraiser's mostly losing mineral-based units. And these Oracles have already paid for themselves 10 times over, so if they die, it doesn't really matter as badly.
Hellraiser's on 4 bases. He's once again not going up to Storm, which I think would just be a real kicker here.
Look at the resources lost.
Yeah, but he's absolutely winning this game. He is once again a situation where he doesn't really need Storm. In fact, what he needs is more Phoenix. But these mutas, they're not going to work, basically. They might send this attack packing, but there's double Stargate. They had to defend, surprise, and deal damage, and then we can talk about Reynor, you know, coming back into this game. But they took so long to come out.
You guys just got to experience a harsh case of the middle mouse button, by the way. Love that bug. Yo, if this was less Archons, then the mutas could even argue with, like, Shine against Zealots, but no, even if the Warp Prism gets picked off, which it doesn't look like it is, he goes right across the map, and there's a cannon, there's a shield battery here and there. It's something where the mutas are going to find trouble getting a lot of damage done. I don't even know if this is a force of recall. Hellraiser might be confident just warping in.
Hellraiser is definitely about the 2-0 Reynor, and the curse of the 3-0s continues.
Like, what world are we living in right now? This is blowing me away. I mean, no disrespect to Hellraiser, and I actually mean no disrespect to Hellraiser. He's a good player, but the 2-0 shocks me to my core.
Yeah, you know, Reynor's kind of at that point where even the players, jokingly, but also probably a little bit seriously, they know they're gonna probably not win. They might win 1 game, but you know, 2, but I'm not certain that Hellraiser's going to take offense to what we're saying, but...
You know what I would love? This is something where Reynor's actually too used to playing against Koreans that he's forgotten how to play against Europeans, right? So it's something where, like, they're not bad, but they're not the same.
I would, like, he would... if that is the case, it's something that a pleb like me would not notice, right? Because but what's actually happening is Hellraiser's doing... He's not actually doing anything weird. The Koreans are bringing back the 2 Stargate thing, for God's sake.
If anything, I'd say like Hellraiser and Hearthstone, like these are players that remind me of like how you would just play a normal Protoss game without anything tricky or silly up your sleeve.
Yeah. So, and continuing on that, like Hellraiser is also just playing a really clean game with a clean build.
It's so gross to consider, by the way. 21 probes die, right? Still 73 left. He's not hurting off that at all. He's the Blastoise who took the punch, Zombie Grub.
Yeah, exactly. Hellraiser's playing great. The last game, because so many Zealots ran into Banelings, I was like, yeah, you know, maybe Reynor just need a warm up or something like that. But this is a very clean one. Good reactions, good decision making, strong decisions too.
No matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, I think Lurkers are going to be way better than Banelings, more reliable. So I think that may have been the direction he wanted to take it, but he's been so starved because he had to no third base, he's had to keep building army, he's never had the freedom to get these Lurkers until now, and even then this might be too late. This timing is not going to work out for him. those lurkers are going to spawn, and most of the army is going to be dead.
Finally, one of Reynor's lingering bites works, by the way. They finally got through the natural, but it's not a lot. Yeah, it's already cleaned up.
Yeah, the third base dying is all that matters here. Like, he could soft contain. He never would have to engage these lurkers. He just has to keep them from ever pushing out and taking a third, and he wins this game.
Yeah. This is... you never really attribute the fantasy GG to Reynor, but... It's,
2-5. Like, I just don't know how you win this.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit of a fantasy GG. I can get why he would, you know, cling on for dear life because they're very strong siege units. Like last game, he had 3 infestors and all that. But I wonder, do I just not watch Reynor lose enough? Or is this one of those things where he's like, I really think he doesn't lose the Hellraiser?
This is Reynor al dente. I don't know why this has become such a meme for me this week, but like this is...
sleeping was like cooking. He didn't get enough sleep. He's al dente.
I think that's Spanish for dentist, right?
Yes.
El dente. Oh man, 3-1 on the upgrades. Just a move into this. He lifts up some of the lurkers. GG's. Whoa, Hellraiser 2-0. Nasneb 72 comes back for 39 damn months to say good luck on the surgery, and to that I just say thank you, not just for the sub, but for the well wishes. I am beyond terrified that the worst case will happen, of course, because that's just who I am in nature. Zombie can vouch for how annoying it has been knowing me being a worst case worrywart for the entire time she's known me, but I am crossing my fingers and hoping for the best tomorrow as well. So thank you. But ladies and gentlemen, it's the Bubba Burger Brawl. It's the first bonus burger of the day. We got one more one after this. And spawning here to the bottom right, we have the red Zerg Reynor.
In the top left, as the blue Protoss. He's winning. It's Hellraiser.
Yeah, this is so crazy. Well, calm down, Zombie. I'm on this hype. I'm on this hype train with you, but I don't want to go too fast and crash. Okay, I got my seatbelt on just in case. And Reynor is maybe struggling against Protoss, maybe he's struggling against Hellraiser in particular. Whatever the case may be, these have not been clean games out of Reynor. And I think one of the things I would identify is that he's just not had the freedom to use his Zerglings in ways that have impressed the crowds over the last couple of events he's been competing in.
Yeah, well, you know, the last event, Valencia, was really hard because Cyril was just on top of his game. I mean, of the players that Cyril had trouble against, it was Scarlet and maybe a little bit of Haas, but not even that really. So he's just an anomaly. But you're right. Reynor's signature moves use a lot of lings, very lifelike, as in the player life, and often it gives them good results. So either they do damage directly, or they simply mess up the Protoss, or they catch them out of position for another attack. It's just not happening here. Hellraiser's, I mean, probably very well aware of how Reynor plays, but to actually defend against it is usually another issue.
I really got to address this comment too. And Emery Toss is not like a toxic person or anything, but I think you're wrong with the statement here real quick. Reynor isn't struggling against Protoss after all he just beat Classic. And he even beat Classic twice because he beat him in the Alima League after GSL, right? That doesn't mean you're amazing versus Protoss or that one week isn't different from the other. We see a lot of players who are just like the best at this blank matchup, and then for whatever reason, the next week and onwards, they're struggling with it. And it's not that there was a patch change, it's not like anything became different. There's just like this really weird ebb and flow with the pros about what matchups they're consistent with. And it's pretty safe to say that I can't think of any players, at least off the top of my head, that have had like a 100% consistency. Not even Koreans.
Well, yeah. So it's way too hard to do when there's so many tournaments every day.
The other part of this too, I mean, yeah, it's the volatility of StarCraft, right? Like no one stays champion for long. But the other part of it is, and I made a joke about it earlier, but there might be some reality in the fact that like Reynor has been training against Korean Protoss for the last 2 months or whatever. The style might just be very different than what Hellraiser's putting out there, which is, by the way, pretty standard, but that doesn't mean it's easier to play against.
He lost to Domik in the Kung Fu Cup.
Really?
A few weeks ago, and he also lost a Trap in the league you're talking about.
Well, so Trap's not so surprising, but Domik, I think, is.
I would still say Trap is better than Classic, yet Reynor, I mean, I guess you can't say that anymore. Classic's he's losing to Reynor.
Right, so like if we're actually going to analyze like the strengths of Reynor and I think what makes him good, it's not like, oh my god, Reynor's just blanketly good against Protoss because he beat Classic. What Reynor's really good at is like decision making on the fly and being able to do things like set up ling flanks. Things that take Zerg players like 10 thoughts to do, he executes in 1 because it's so natural for him to just run around and create a surround, 2-pronged attacks, things like this. But with the way Hellraiser's been putting pressure on him, he's not been given that opportunity. You'll notice, like I mentioned the Ling thing before, and he's doing +1 melee very quickly here. Reynor, perhaps with more emphasis on the Zerglings, would have more of an opportunity to get these surrounds, to get these attacks that he's more accustomed to playing around in the freedom with. But I pose to you, chat, another theory, and that is Reynor is a good fucking guy who knows that we've been lamenting about these 3-0s all day. He's worried that the show would be too short, so I'm not saying he threw the first 2 games, but maybe he's helping us get a 3-2.
So,
Illuminati's in the chat, and tinfoil hats if you got them.
Really got to talk about the build coming up here because Hellraiser is going for an all-in. But on your point, let's not forget that game number 1 could be explained by just like reevaluating what you thought of Hellraiser and how he's going to play. And then the second game was, I do believe Reynor was trying to go for an all-in, and the double Stargate was too much of a surprise. Like, that was not quite a build order win, but his build didn't help. We're kind of in like our normal macro game again, where, well, we're not actually, but let's say that we were. But Reynor could have adapted to the Lost and Found game and like is going to dominate, but we're not in a normal macro game. Because Reynor realized that. He is getting a Bailing Nest right now. He's getting a Spine Crawler. He realizes something is up, but he needs to actually see the move out and what type of composition it is.
Well, while we have a brief moment before that happens, quick announcement, guys. Jambon Rose, the guy from Maturino, has informed us that the next $50 has been reached, and that thus another giveaway has been triggered in chat. So, somebody who entered in through the Twitter on Maturino is going to be getting a giveaway shortly, which is fucking awesome. Good job, guys.
This is such an odd all-in. It's an Immortal all-in with a couple of Sentries, but like there's no Twilight Council upgrades.
Oh, you know what though?
Just Stalkers.
The Sentry is going to make this really complicated because Reynor's gone for a composition here that relies heavily on the Banelings and the Zerglings. I mean, the +1, right? If those force fields choke him out, we've actually seen Reynor get caught in a bad force field. It's even, I think, a clip from when he put against Trap. This could go really badly for him.
The Spine Crawler is going to add another force field.
Oh,
it's another force field, basically.
Yeah, he completely zones out the Banelings. The Zerglings came for the backside, but they're coming in alone, so it's not going to work out. He really needs these force fields to go away, but he replaces them before they do. Reynor can't get these Banelings in there for the life of him. He goes around the long way now, frustrated that he can't get these in, but more force fields come down to block them out.
Whoa!
Hellraiser! No way. He's not going to do it. There's no way. It can't be. Okay, well now the Banelings are actually getting some decent connects, but I still think it might be a little too late.
Well, the Warp is not here to micro. That's the one thing that can help out here. So the Immortal's going to get, Citizens Arrest there, drones to take it out, but I think this is too much. Lings can't come out like this and win.
Yo, the War Person wasn't involved with the fight, and he still did this well without it. And credit goes to the force fields on this one. But this is how it's so back to basics, right? Like, sentries and force fields are about as, like, wings of liberty as you get when it comes to playing Protoss.
Wow, this worked out so well. I think, and this might have been a kill move because he knew Reynor was going to go Ling Baneling. Maybe this doesn't work out as well when they can get Ravagers, because Reynor knew something was up.
Yeah.
If he had Roaches, he would have turned some of the Ravagers, but, oh man.
Oh,
GG. I called it.
The called it.
That guy in
confirmed.
Chat called it first. The 3-0s continue.
I can't.